Morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? What's up, Doug? How you doing?
Good morning. Now, this might be apropos for Mondays. It's either my internet or yours, but you were choppy. Kind of like you wanted to come out of the gate firing, but you were stuttering and sputtering. That can sometimes represent a Monday, right?
That's that would be called my child got me sick and I'm still all
Yes, that does happen as well.
And we hit cottonwood season, so I can't breathe.
Allergies?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Morning, Harrison. Morning, Mike. How you guys doing today? Happy Monday. We missed you last Monday.
Yes, sorry about that, my friend. There's parades to be had.
I didn't go live either. I was not 100%. So.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. My
the community.
My children are in the parade, so it's a cool thing. Our town lost its parade for a long time thanks to COVID, so it's back. It's good. If you don't love a parade, I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, who does? Actually, Zach, do you love a parade, Zach?
No, I don't.
Gosh, how are we even friends, Zach? How is this possible?
I was in parades when I was younger. We had the homecoming parade all the time at the high school, and all the techies we got a float for the theater department, so the techies built the set and the actors went and did the thing, and I don't know. It's okay. But like you're just standing on the corner of a street, like
no. You don't need to go into your mindset of parades and ruin it for the rest of us, my friend.
Good time can be had by all if they choose. We'll leave it at that.
A little twist. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you how this goes.
So we're talking pricing. We are talking pricing today. Busy but broke. You got a pricing problem. And it is something like we see it in the groups all the time. People going, "Oh, what should I charge for this? And what should I charge for that?" Let me preface this with the community is a great source of information. But polling them for pricing, you're doing it wrong. Because your pricing is unique to your needs. And we're going to kind of go over some of that today, the dangers, overpricing, underpricing. I'm going to be honest, most of you aren't actually overpricing your service. You're probably underpricing it, but there is some danger in overpricing as well on the rare instance when that can happen. So we'll kind of run through a couple things and our take on how to really dial in that pricing to make sure you're not going broke at the end of the day. So should be a good one.
Well, I'll open us in prayer and then we will talk pricing.
Sounds like a plan.
Lord God, it's Monday and we come to you and ask that you give us a fresh new heart, fresh new mindset. Lord, help us be grateful for all that we have. Help us be mindful of the things that you've given us. Help us maximize our talents and treasures that you give us in order to further your kingdom, Lord. God, we know that you are about taking care of the lost and the poor. So, God, we just pray that you help us be your hands and feet for this. Lord, we lift up our businesses to you, and we pray, Lord, that your spirit be guiding us through our decisions, through our actions, through our celebrations, and through our struggles, Lord. We thank you that you're a perfect God who loves us and is there in all of those times, as I mentioned. In Jesus' name, amen.
One other thing about pricing, you probably have a pricing problem. Talked about budgets, you also probably have a spending problem if things are out of balance, right? You can underspend, by the way,
Mhm.
'cause anyway, so you really have to take the whole picture in mind, and that's why I said asking, "What would you charge for this repair?" in the group is really not it's not a good way to do that because
Mhm.
there's a lot of factors that come into play when you're truly pricing your service so that you're profitable, so that you're within your area's competitive segment, right? So there's a ton of stuff that comes into play. So one of the things that gets tossed around is, the cheapest guy. I'm the cheapest guy around. I do free service calls. I do this. I do that. Um, Is that really a competitive advantage? Like, I don't know.
I feel like sometimes when it gets slow, I get tempted to want to lower my prices, lower my service fee to get in the door. Um, but that is not playing the long game by any stretch of the imagination, and reducing the amount of profit at the end of the month because you were concerned about how busy it was going to be is not going to carry you down the road. Worst thing that you and me were mindset people, right? Worst thing we could ever do is not realize that we've locked our mindset into some unhealthy approach.
Mhm.
And so if we focus on pricing, and whether we're too much or too high or whatever, or even focusing on price, you should focus on pricing for about an hour. Look at your P&L, do a cost of doing business, determine your rates, and then you build everything that you do and say around that price point that you need. If you have a lot less overhead than me, then you've got a little bit of an advantage.
Mhm.
But once the summer comes and your overhead is low because it's you and a guy, you and your technician, well, I've got 18 more. And so when you're booked up for a week and they stop calling you, then, so it all balances out in the end.
Right.
So I think that that's probably the biggest fear I have is people being concerned that they're charging too much. Figure out your price and then decide what you're going to do. Um, and last thing I'll just say, Zach, as I ramble here, TV repair. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
there was a TV repair store in almost every town. There might have been some old drugstores that still had picture tube kiosks where you can go and still fix your old TVs. But through my teenage years and early years, I saw the industry practically die. I would say it's still pretty dead at this point. It's a niche market now, right? Um, we're not there in our industry. We will probably eventually someday get there. But in the meantime, focusing and worrying about getting the fastest, quickest buck is a waste of time unless you're planning to get out soon, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah, Mike says here, but when it's slow, there's nothing wrong with running a temporary promotion for a lower service fee. Offering extra coupon or something like that during a slow time um, could be a good way to do that. So there's some hidden costs that if you haven't done your budget right, if you haven't looked at your P&L, you haven't done all that stuff. Um, have you ever noticed that the cheap customer, it's the one that all these problems come up? You got callbacks, they're in the middle of nowhere. You end up going back and warranting it 1,000 times, right? It's always that cheap customer that you have the problems, and all of a sudden the costs add up. If you would have been priced appropriately in the first place, you still would have come out ahead. But because you lowered your standard,
Oh yeah.
now you're way in the hole, you know? So,
Lowering your price, you just have to hope that all your vendors and your electric company and Mike from Appliance Marketing Pros, he'll probably lower his bill for you every month if you have to lower your service fee, right? Uh, no, Mike will not because he's from Chicago, and it's a reality that nobody's going to lower their prices for you. So I'm not sure why you would for your customer.
And have you noticed, like, well, maybe not, because maybe you guys have been priced appropriately all along. There's some cash flow issues that happen if
Mhm.
you're priced too low. All of a sudden, you're looking at the bank going, uh, I got to buy a new truck, but I can't afford a new truck,
Right.
right? I got to hire another guy on because we're so busy, but I
Mhm.
can't buy a truck to put him in. I've heard that story more times
Sure.
than I can count. Or you have a truck that's starting to age out, it's starting to get rust spots, and that doesn't look professional when you're pulling up to a customer house. Do you have the cash available to be able to buy
Okay.
that new vehicle to replace it? If you're priced in appropriately, you probably don't, right? So you have to kind of figure out how to budget that
I mean,
appropriately.
it is a little complicated, right? Because we're not pricing only to match our competitors, which we should never do. But I'm saying that's not our only pulling force. The other one is, of course, the customer just decides to go buy new.
Yeah,
In the roofing business, you don't just go out and buy a new house. So we have we have one more thread of stress or something that we have to manage that you in your industry, you're managing your competitors.
right.
But ironically, it's still the same thing. So how do you win over your competitors who are underquoting you? Well, you give them an incredible experience on the front end, and you add incredible value and warranty, and you're basically trying to win them over. That's how you beat the cheapskate guys. Coming back around to fix it later, or say I told you so, or say you know what you're a common story, and just helping. I mean, like who would want to say if a roofing guy came to my house after I had a bad experience, by the way, Zach, and they said, I see this all the time, man. I tell people to watch out for these guys. All you're doing is saying to me, hey, loser, you got sucked into that trap of price. You should have known better, idiot. So it's really just about authentically coming alongside. And if they can't afford you, that's it. We move on. It's not
Right.
personal. But most people need to fix their roof. And back to Mike's comment, I'd say you can throw a coupon out there, but you have to make sure that your CSRs or whoever's answering the phone is going the extra mile. When it's slow, that's when you make sure that before they hang up, you give them three great things about your business. Okay, sure, I understand, but before you go, let me just remind you, our warranty is this. We've been around this long, and I'm the owner operator. Whatever your awesome niche is, like, hey, just before you go, by the way, I'm owner operator. I'm coming to your house, and I will make sure you do a good job. All right. Guess what? A third of the time that turns those customers. Okay, you know what, you're right, come on out, Zach, come take a look at my appliance. And then you know what they're going to tell you? The quick story. I used to use Bill, man, but he hurt his back and he finally retired, and I just don't know who to call anymore. And I was just thinking, I don't have a lot of money right now, so they default to price. That's what people do. They default to price when they don't know what they're doing, and you need to make sure you overcome that challenge before you meet that challenge with any kind of discounts.
Right. Well, it's all about the quality of your service, right?
Mhm.
Which kind of went into Mike's next comment. You know, you have to sell the repair. You have to sell the customer. Your CSRs
Yeah.
have to sell the customer on having you come out and do it, right? So people are worried about overpricing, um, and so losing jobs that are simple to the low cost, chucking a truck. not getting as many phone calls, right? That kind of stuff. But more than likely, your pricing is justified, right? Like, especially if you're using Blue
Mhm.
Book to kind of get an idea of where the repairs sit, and then you understand your numbers, your cost of doing business,
Mhm.
all that stuff. You understand that stuff. You're probably not priced too high. You probably
Yeah.
have a mindset issue, a process issue of conveying to the
Mhm.
customer what the value of your service is, right? So for us, in the roofing, we're one of the only companies that does repairs.
Mm.
Basically, every other company, if they're not getting a full roof, bye, they're out the
Yeah.
door. But if all you need is simple repair, I now have a chance to turn you into a lifetime customer. I have a chance to come out, help you out, and then when you're ready for that full roof replacement, I'm going to be the first guy you called because I
Mhm.
actually took the time to take care of you in the small things, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing is true in the appliance repair world, right? If you're turning away those small jobs, um, your competitor may be the one that ends up with the lifetime customer,
Mhm. It does speak volumes, doesn't it, Zach?
right?
Yeah.
So,
And all you got to do is just have, yeah, you got to have the Chicago version of ChatGPT translate these statements, right? Like, oh, do I have to replace the whole roof? Yeah, you do, man. And chat saying, because we're looking for the biggest bang for our buck, or whatever. It's we don't care about customers, we care about ticket price, and that's the reality for sure. Is the things you say and the actions you take speak to what your direction of your business is heading. And like you said, lifelong customers, that speaks to it for sure, Zach.
right.
Now, do you get that? Do you have them get a tattoo of the roofing company on their arm so that they'll remember to call you? Like, who was that roofing guy that came out 8 years ago? Oh, that's right.
No, you make sure that you have the good leave behinds like Action Appliance has.
Yeah.
Get something in their hand that they really want to hold on to,
Mhm.
whether it's a sticker on the appliance, a magnet on the fridge, a folder with some information on it, a chip clip that they're going to be using on those pretzels in the
Mm.
pantry all the time.
Yeah.
Something to leave in their hands so that after they've had that good experience, they
Yeah.
know who to call,
Yeah.
right? Um, so as we're setting our pricing, and I know you are big on this, understanding our numbers, right? What's our break even? What's our cost of goods sold, our overhead, our target margin? Like, do we know any of that stuff?
Mhm.
We have to. We
Yeah.
have to know that stuff. Um, I was talking with Adam a few months back as we were trying to help kind of get his service call pricing locked in.
Mhm.
A service call is never going to be a profit center, right?
Right.
Service calls typically, if you're break even or a little ahead on the cost of a service call, then your service call is priced appropriately. But you only know that if you know how much it costs to actually run that
Yeah.
service call. What's the fuel? What's the insurance? What's the office cost? What's the cost of the subscriptions for House Call Pro or Service
Mhm.
Titan or whatever you're using? Do you know all those costs that go into getting a technician into the house? And then you build from there,
Yeah.
right? You add a target margin onto that. And
Mhm.
typically that 30 to 40% margin is where you're going for. Not markup,
Right.
margin. You want a margin on there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Being in Connecticut, it would be great if our service call yield any profit, but it's a bit of a loss for us. So that's where added value and making sure you're not getting a check from a customer today, but you're getting a customer for the long haul, because that's how you win that over for sure.
Well, and that can be a way to do it too. Like you want to get as close to break even on a service call as you can on
Sure.
just a service call, right? Because you don't want to be working for free. And then your job is to make sure your technicians or yourself is trained up enough to win that repair,
Yeah.
to win the customer over to doing the actual repair or doing other service
Mhm.
while you're at the home. Um,
Yeah.
because the actual repair is where the profit center comes in. So if you're not doing a lot of repairs, you're just doing a bunch of service calls, you're
Sure.
losing.
Yeah, I was just thinking again about the guy on Facebook who posts, what do you get for this job? Um, I like it because now I can figure out what the market is in other areas. You know what I mean? Like, it's it means zero to me. It has no impact on my business, but it does make me curious how Omaha can be way cheaper than Connecticut can be, or Florida, for
Mm.
expenses. And I'm assuming these people are maybe hopefully charging the right price. But it is fun to see what other people charge, but it literally means absolutely nothing to your business what other people charge.
We got a friend watching in Australia. Good day, mate.
Hey,
That's fun. I love that we have community all over the world. We have some Irish friends as well that tune in once in a while. So it's always good to see when you guys are joining us.
so
Value based.
he's up late. I'm assuming. Spinny. He's up late, right? He's
Yeah,
like
because that's the
on the
other
way.
side of the date line.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, good night. Good night to you.
So value based pricing versus cost based. That's kind of what we're talking about with that.
Mhm.
That what are we doing? What are we just going because this is what all our competitors are doing? Or are we actually providing um, a valuable service to the customer? Are we able to truly convey that to
Mm.
them?
Yeah.
Um, they don't they don't pay you for time, right? If they're breaking down time and material, and this is why I like the blue book pricing, right? Because we're not fighting about, well, that repair only took you 30 minutes. It's the value of that 30 minutes that you were in the home, and blue book pricing kind of eliminates that headache, right? Um, so how do we communicate that? How do we teach our technicians, our CSRs, like how do we convey this
Mm.
to customers? And I know this is something that you've worked on with your team. What are some of the strategies that you found to kind of get that value of why they should be doing the repair with action?
Tell you what, the longest challenge and hurdle we had for years was getting everyone to use the Blue Book. When you have one or two employees, you have the time to spend on them. But as you get a little bit bigger, 5 and 6 and 8 employees, technicians, it's hard to monitor that they're doing the right job. So for me, if I saw that the average per call of a tech was lower than the company average or KPI, and his or her walk rate, or the time that he only collected a service fee, was low. So if he sold a lot of jobs, but his average per call was low, then I knew that they were not using our company pricing guide, that they were shooting from the hip. And I don't know how many people do that. I mean, I'm old. So back in the day, calling Marcone to get the pricing of the day was just not anything that we did. So we just, once we got that price on a Monday, that might be the price I used for the next 2-3 months,
Right.
when we had the blue book in paper. So you would
Right.
you would use and if it wasn't a flat rate that was in the guide, you had to create it. I would just shoot from the hip what I remember the price to be. But it seems like Marcone's main page, I keep saying Marcone, sorry, Saul. any one of them, it seems like there's these price increases that are coming down the pike throughout the year, whether it's Frigidaire or Whirlpool or whatever. And are we reacting at the same time as our vendor is when they're raising the prices? If you delay on reacting in raising your price to your customer, you're literally just take some cash out of your wallet and just give it to the customer. So the great thing about the Blue Book or something like that, a formula that you're going to check pricing on every single job, is a game changer for your business. So I don't have techs right now that have a low average per call and with a low walk rate. When I have and also my bill from Blue Book is pretty damn expensive right now too. And it was a little sticker shock for the owner because for such a long time, it was like a third of our techs were using Blue Book and the others weren't. And then we finally got over that hurdle of making sure that they're being very careful about doing the right thing. And now it gets more expensive as you use it, but it's a game changer for us. It's the Blue Book pricing model, price today plus a flat labor rate is probably the single thing that helped us grow.
But is it truly more expensive? It's not. Because you're doing the right thing in the moment, right? So you're paying to have Blue Book ping and double check the pricing and double check the page charge, right? And you're actually getting what you should get for a repair.
That's right. That's right.
You're not losing money. So if you've done things appropriately, the cost of pinging Blue Book to get the price of that repair is already built into your formula.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's not costing you anything. It's actually making you money to do the right thing. And this kind of goes into this, right? Like $150 call out fee, 45 minutes on the job, plenty plus the markup and parts seems to work well. And it could, right? But if you know the fair market value for doing a repair in your area, you can then sell that repair. You're going into the value-based pricing with your customers because you're using the market value of the repair for a customer. They know you're not just pulling a number out of your head, right? EJ does this very well. Hey, look, here's the Blue Book. Here's what it says. So you can see we're not here to rip you off. This is what it's calling out for you for this repair.
Right. Yeah. And if you send a green tech to the house and he's on the phone asking for help and taking a smoke break because he's struggling, that customer is maybe concerned that they're paying for someone to learn how to fix the appliance. And you know what? The reality is for the first 2 or 3 years,
you kind of
going on for me. I was taking a lot of extra time and extra trips, but it never came out of the customer's pocket because the company owned it with that flat rate. And you get a job done in 25 minutes instead of 45 minutes. You get to do an extra job or two that day. It helps the bottom line with that market pricing that you're talking about, Zach.
And for those new technicians, it kind of goes to Saul's comment. One of the hard parts for a new technician, not only are they trying to learn the repair game, right? But they haven't built the confidence in selling the repair yet. And so if you're using Blue Book, it can give them the confidence to know they're charging the right thing. It can help them actually sell the repair to the customer because it's right here. This is what we're supposed to charge for this. You're not getting charged more. You're not getting charged less. You're getting charged the actual cost of what this repair is. And so it can kind of be that confidence boost that a new technician needs. Or you may be a seasoned technician that just isn't confident in having that pricing conversation with a customer using Blue Book or something similar, a formula. It's a built-in confidence boost.
The word confidence. So if you're confident that you have a great business and you're confident that you know how to repair appliances, and you're confident that you'll be there for the customer if there's any problems or hiccups, then you should never ever worry about how much you're charging. I mean, obviously you figure out what you're supposed to charge, what you need to charge to make a 20%, 15% profit at the end of the year. Figure that number out, and you should never worry about your pricing after that ever again. I mean, it helps us level up. If it comes to a point that people are saying no to our pricing, and our pricing is covered in cost of business with a specific profit margin. If we start to lose profit margin or we're not making any money, then it's time to pack it up. It's time to be done. If it's getting harder to do the job, sell the job, then it's our job to level up what we're providing. We have to meet the market, meet the future. And when you start saying, I'm going to give away a free repair, then the writing's on the wall that we might be in trouble in the industry, but I'm letting you know we're not. And so we just have to, it just causes us to level up. If your warranty is 30 days, try expanding it. Try using that as a selling point. Just level up your business, add value to what you offer.
And one of the hidden things of doing this is in your branding, right? Have you built a brand that stands apart, right? And so perceived value, right? Think about Walmart versus Target versus Nordstrom, right? Like, you're not going to pay Nordstrom prices at Walmart. Like, you would literally walk out the door. You'd be like, I ain't doing that for this Chinese knockoff t-shirt that's misspelled
Right.
and the printing is not lined up right. You're not going to do that. And so your customers also aren't going to do that. Are you showing up in a van that's wrapped? Are you showing up in the beater that's rusted through on the floorboards and you got paper strewn all over the truck? Like, how are you showing up to the customer is going to dictate the value of your brand, is going to dictate what customers are willing to pay you for a repair. How do you want to be known? So that branding is a hidden part of your setting your service call, setting your repair cost. Do you have a solid brand that customers are going to be confident in? And then the background work of what's your warranty, what's your training schedule, what's your support schedule, right? Like, all that stuff has to be built in for customers to feel like they can be confident in you doing the repair. Excellent point. The logoed shirts, right? Are your technicians walking in a t-shirt and ripped jeans, or are they walking in a professional manner? Now, in the trades, right, we have a little leeway. You can walk in the house in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt if it's a branded t-shirt, if it's a company logo, right? You're clean, you smell good. You can get away with a little more in the trades. But how are we showing up for our customers? That's going to dictate what we're able to get as far as the price on a repair goes.
That's funny. Just the last couple of years, we've expanded a little bit in our uniform options. Like the hot summer days, texts were going, can we get a t-shirt? And so we had a couple different versions of t-shirts put out there, and with our logo, we won most professional servicers, so we have that. But now that our service fee has gone up again, and that our rates are continuing to rise, we're just starting to talk about the idea that, as far from a branding perspective, does somebody who might come in at a $299 service fee for boutique brands rolling in a t-shirt, does that work? Can you go and get a Wagyu steak at a fine place with a guy serving you in a t-shirt? So we're just exploring what that level of branding? Do we want to be known as the company that comes in, kind of like a Mr. Appliance, that
So, um, I'm going to pull from, because I have friends in every industry, right? And so I'm going to pull from HVAC. There is a customer negative perception right now. And they call them white shirts, right? These HVAC guys that they come in the khakis and the white polo, and they're all sharp, and it just screams, this guy's here to sell me something. He
hmm,
doesn't actually know what he's doing.
interesting.
Um, and so for a long time, it was considered like, this is the professional. Oh my gosh, this guy's, he's showing up and he's sharp, and now there's so many private equity companies out there that have kind of taken advantage of that. And they're pushing sales. They're pushing, you got to replace, you got to replace, you got to replace. There's no repair, no repair. And so it's almost become synonymous with this kind of, for lack of a better term, slick dick salesman, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have to kind of be able to strike a balance in it, right? So Andrew, khaki denim and a polo and a ball cap, a belt, he's 100% consistent in this, right? And if that works for his customers, fantastic. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I am saying you do have to understand your market and what customers are looking for. In roofing sales, if I show up in a white shirt and khaki pants and I don't have a tape measure on my belt, I'm not wearing a ball cap, and I'm not looking suntan, right? I, I'm coming up to a house and I'm screaming salesman all day long.
You look like a discount guy. What are you
Right.
trying to? No, that's so it's a tactic. But I'll push back again a little bit more too.
I'm not
I
saying I look
feel
like a discount guy. I'm saying that I actually look the part of a roofer because I am a roofer. I can get up there and I can do the repairs with my guys,
I hear you.
and I dress appropriately to do the work,
Well,
right? There's a
and so you're speaking to the real issue,
right.
which is back to the HVAC thing. That's been a private equity market thing. They've been chomping up HVAC companies
Mhm.
everywhere, big corporations. And so they're building and growing and scaling so fast. I think they're hiring too quickly and not bringing in experienced veterans. And so when we send out a green tech, it's no surprise that they're trying to get new appliances. Like their walk rate is high. It's because they don't know what machine they're looking at there. If it's a great Maytag washer that's 20 years old, you and I know that's a washer you keep for life.
Mhm.
But a guy who's never seen it but twice is going to go, "Ooh, that's pretty old. I think you should buy a new one." And so I feel like maybe in that HVAC world, it it was unfairly tagged as green guy in a uniform, and the result is they're gonna just tell me to buy a new one, and I think that can happen in our business as well.
And
You know,
and that was my point. I'm not
it's
saying that
about
it
what you present.
100% is
It's
the
about it's
case.
about what comes out of your mouth. So I feel like Zach, you could shave that beard, although I think that chin there was something wrong with. Did I? Anyway, you could come in dressed all crazy and beautiful. And here's the reality, Zach. You've been in the roofing business this long, but you've got the knowledge of a guy that's been in it forever because that's the geeky nerd that you are. So as soon as you open your mouth,
Mm.
you will convey what needs to be conveyed. And the clothing is your first impression. And you're right. There's probably some truth to this that we've come to a point in life in society here in America that if you see a beautiful van and a well-dressed guy jump out of it, they're probably going, "Oh shit, this is going to cost me a lot of money." But at some point when when you get in the house and you begin to convey the choices of repair or replace, and you navigate them through every step of the way, and when they're feeling a little anxious or lost, and you answer their question before they ask the question, when it comes down to it, when they say it makes more sense to fix it, they're going to do it for whatever price you tell them to do. So it's really about the experience in the uniform and all that. It's first impressions, and you're totally right. There's crappier and crappier service people going into people's homes. Forget homes everywhere,
Mhm.
restaurants, retail stores. The level of customer service has dropped. So I guess it's fair to be weary and careful of first impressions. But we've always had to overcome first impressions. Look at this face. I've
It
had to overcome this face every single time I went into a customer's house. And it takes a little bit longer for us less Saul attractive type of guys, but it's still the same game no matter what.
so the point in all that is make sure whatever you're doing is consistent. Make sure it's clear that you are a professional company without kind of crossing into that sleazy sales role, right? Make sure your technicians are trained up enough, have enough confidence, do some role playing with them at the shop, something, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that it's not just how they're dressed, the uniform is consistent, whether it's Bob today and Mike tomorrow and Joe on Thursday that's coming to the customer's house. Make sure there's a level of consistency in the uniforms. It's a professional presentation, whatever part of the spectrum you fall on there. And then make sure that they're trained up and make sure that they're knowledgeable in what they're doing, right?
Well,
Uh,
not just diagnosing and repairing, knowledgeable in presenting the options, right? What is Saul saying?
we'll get to that in a minute.
Just
Listen,
because
he,
I have a bunch of friends in the business, too many to be honest with you, that tell me that if they go on a standard brand refrigerator, they will not do the sealed system job, and they will not quote the customer because in from their perspective, it's the wrong thing to do. And even if a customer wants to, they don't know well enough, and so they've created a policy or an approach to not do it. And that's expanded into certain washers and transmissions and outer tubs. When you begin to tell people that you're not going to quote them, you're not going to do it, you're basically saying you need to go buy a new one. And you're forcing your opinion down their throat. So when this training happens, you need to teach your people how to present all the options and go through the motions. And so if you have a wonderful guy that loves to repair but hates people, just get rid of him now because you're not gonna be able to do that Zach Kreider thing, which is walk with them each step of the way and help them make the right decision.
don't tell Doug, but I hate people. Uh,
You're a good faker, Zach. You're a good.
so there's so much truth in that. Make sure your technicians are prepared when they're going in the home. I want to hit Andrew's comment here. First impressions, does that include, body modifiers? Listen, this chin ain't seen the sun since I was 16 years old. I got 2 earrings, right? And I'm tatted all over the place.
Yeah.
You overcome that with everything else being in line. Make sure your uniform is professional and presentable, right? And then like Doug is saying, make sure you have the knowledge to back up what you're doing. Yes, I've been in roofing sales this long, but I have this much construction experience. I
Right.
understand how that roof is put together. I understand everything that goes into that, right? Your technicians should understand how these appliances work, the ins and outs, and they should be able to convey that in simple, easy to understand terms to a customer because this won't matter. If the tattooed guy with the bald head, big old beard shows up at their house to do an appliance repair and he breaks it down in simple to understand terms for a customer, he's going to win the repair every single time. Every single time. So people are more accepting of tattoos and piercings and all that kind of stuff.
It's
Now, if
it's
I walked in with blue hair and pink hair and all that, they might get a little sketchy right now.
it's all percentages, right? I mean, the percentage of people accepting these changes in the way we look and stuff has shifted. Andrew, my new doctor, she's 6 years old. That was my first impression when I got in there, and I was like, "What the hell?" You know, like, is she? Am I her first patient? Like, literally, she's a toddler. Like, how is this possible? I want the old crusty guy, and so as she left to get something and come back, I had that whole conversation in my head in like 10 seconds. I'm like, does she even know what she's doing? Am I her first customer, like client or patient? And then I'm like, I want the old guy. Do I really want the old guy? Is he staying up with the latest technology? Is he following up on the latest practices? Oh my. And then when she came back in, she introduced herself, told me a little bit about herself. And then she would, everything that I had a question about, she gave me options. Well, you can do a sleep study, or you can do this, or you can do this. And some people have tried that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, this lady is amazing.
Right.
This doctor knows her stuff. It's what came out of her mouth. It's not what she knows. It's what came out when it came out, and what it is, you know. And to Spinny, I hope that's the name. Is that you also? And that's absolutely true, but you have to explain to them why you don't think so. Because if you just tell them that's not worth fixing, for some people that's going to be hard to accept that value. It's going to be like, well, that was his opinion. Now I need to probably call someone else out because I'm not sure if that's the standard opinion or not. But if you go into why you think it's not worth repairing into detail, they may start to lose you, but they're on for the ride. You know what I mean? If you start talking about the interior parts of the transmission on this model compared to different, they may not understand, but they appreciate the fact that you're including them in that.
So one of the concepts that goes along with that I think has been so helpful for me is stop trying to spend the customer's money out of your own wallet.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know what the customer's level of price tolerance is. You know what your level of price tolerance is. Don't spend the customer's money out of your own wallet. Educate the customer, give them the options, explain it in easy to understand terms, and let them choose. If you can be that guide, if you can share all the different pros and cons, right? Because maybe it is appliance that doesn't make sense to repair. Hey, listen, you got this French American washer that everyone buys at Lowe's that costs $5.99, and you have a squeak going on, and yeah, sure, I can fix this part right now. Here's what else is going to happen in about the time frame that it's going to happen. This is the cost of that.
Right.
Would you like to repair this today or not?
Yeah.
Give them the option. Put the power in their hands to understand and make the best decision for themselves. And to your fridge point, maybe they don't have time. Maybe this was their only day off of work. Maybe you should do the sealed system repair because maybe it makes more financial sense to repair that Whirlpool refrigerator evaporator than it does for them to go buy a new machine.
Right.
Stop spending it with your own wallet. Let the customer decide. Give them all that they need to make an educated decision.
Yeah.
And that's how you don't price yourself out of business. So
it didn't take long. It's this, like I was something I think I'm pretty good at, which is you see a pattern, evaluate it, and and adjust your mindset, adjust your approach. It didn't take me 100 times saying to someone else, did you wouldn't believe what I saw today. I quoted on a repair on this completely broken down house, this poor lady, and then she went and came out with straps of cash and she paid in cash. I remember telling a fellow tech who said that story 3 different times in like 5 years. And the third time, I'm like, Rich, when is it going to get through your thick skull, dude, that you can't evaluate people and assume things about people? You've told me this story 3 different times from 3 different people. So when are you going to change up your approach and stop assuming things? So now he doesn't work with us anymore. I think I was an asshole back then. But, it's a reality to me. And it's not a pet peeve, but like, gosh darn it, pay attention to details. And when you realize that you were assuming something or you were doing something with best intentions and it didn't have a positive effect, change it up. Change it up. And it really, the big takeaway has always been what you said, Zach. Your job is to present the whole story. I love Tommy Mello. I love his book, Elevate. I love in his raspy, rude, obnoxious, blue collar, rich man attitude. Like, don't ever serve me if I'm, he's a customer. Don't try to figure out who he is. Give him all the options because I want to make that decision. I'll decide whether I want to go the cheap route or the expensive route. I want to know about the add-ons. I want to know about everything. And that is the push for this year. It's one of the goals that we have for Action Appliance is to untrain my guys that have been here a long, long time who have chosen to just do what they want to do in regards to all the options. And all the new guys just need to keep hearing that. I've got the Tommy Mello podcast snippet point. I show that 2 minutes right there. And I go, that's what we're striving for. When you go in the house, this is what we have. That if you do that, whatever they say, yes, no, something in between, you won. And you will make a lot of money working here. And they will be very happy customers because they got to pick what they want. So it's fun. It's hard to unprogram your team, by the way. Final thoughts, as soon as you realize it, focus on it, but you might lose some people if they can't switch gears and recognize that I had it wrong. I felt like that wasn't as important of a priority, but now I do know because it's presenting to the customer.
Yep. Yeah. You never know what someone's situation is. And so don't make assumptions. Make sure you've done your cost of doing business. Make sure you understand what your pricing is, and then present the options, all of the options to the customer, and you're going to win. More often than not, you're going to win. The customer's going to win, and everyone's walking away happy. Our job is to provide a service to customers, and we get paid for providing that service. So stop thinking of it as ripping off customers. Stop thinking of it as whatever funky mindset you have going on. You are paid to provide an amazing service, an amazing experience for your customers. Make that your number one goal every single day. And if you do that, you're going to win every single time.
Yeah, agreed.
Hopefully that helped you guys. I know this was a longer one, but there's so much to kind of talk about on the mindset of pricing.
So. Zach, I know that we can talk our techs through a diagnosis over the phone if they need it. I know that we can even talk them through getting a repair done, how to change a part if they've never done it before. Whether they're out in the truck or they're in their earpiece. But I don't know that we can talk them through presenting your company and the options to the customer, right? That would be harder. That's something that needs to be trained.
Practice.
I think. Yeah, practice, role played. It's a game changer if you can get your people to be like you. You're the owner of your business. You know what appliances better get fixed. They better get repaired because that's a good one. But if your tech doesn't care, then that good one's going to go away. So to duplicate yourself, the best way is to make sure that their mindset and their scripting is solid. The rest of it comes along the way. So
100%. 100%. So pricing is the topic of the mastermind this month. If you're not an all access member, servicealliancegroup.com, go join, become an all access member. Join TK and Mike on June 21st as they talk about pricing your service. And they're going to go more in depth on this topic during that mastermind. So if you haven't joined us as an all access member, go check it out. Servicealliancegroup.com. We're very excited that in the fall, in September, we're going to be partnered up with PSA, teaching some classes, much like our mastermind, but a little longer and a little more in depth down there in Vegas with PSA. And super excited because we just got the keynote for the dinner. So good friend of mine, and I'm very excited to have him do the keynote at PSA. So we'll get that posted on the new conference website here pretty soon. So with that, have a good day, y'all. Get out there, take care of your customers, serve them well. See you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Service Alliance Group podcast. Make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for home service business resources.